Get ready, Padres fans. It's time for the EcoWater SoCal Padres Pregame Show on the Padres Radio Network.
Tatis hit third, 2 outs. Fernando takes off. He's going to steal home without a play.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, and our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Schultz. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
Great filling in for Sam Levitt this weekend on the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. The dog days of summer, final stretch of August in the baseball season before playoff hopes and pennant chases start to really heat up and become more and more serious. A time of the year where teams clinging on to trade deadline fantasies have their hopes dashed. Teams that have been out of it since May can't wait to be on vacation. And teams with World Series aspirations want to make a great push, but not peak too early. What a time in baseball. The weather is at its hottest, and the lines in the baseball hierarchy start getting drawn in the sand. Tonight, two teams that are in the thick of the National League playoff race duke it out for the third time this series and the fifth time this season. New York Mets are on the outside looking in, trailing the last spot in the wild card by 2.5 games behind their divisional foe, the Atlanta Braves. But they have bested the Padres more times than not this season. Padres, on the other hand, second in the wild card, but trying to keep pace with their divisional foes as well for an NL West title that has not been in San Diego for quite some time. Good evening and welcome into the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on KWFN 97.3 The Fan and Padres Radio Network. I'm Braden Soprano filling in for Sam Levitt. And let's set the table. Brought to you by Fraser Farmers Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farmers Market, a San Diego original since 1971, with 3 locations: La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside. Padres entered their Mets series, having won 9 series in their past 10, played in the second half. They took 2 out of 3 from Cleveland, swept Washington in 3 in D.C., took 2 of 3 from Baltimore, swept the Dodgers in 2 at home, took 2 of 3 from Colorado and San Diego, swept the Pirates in 3 at PNC, dropped 2 of 3 to Colorado, and then took 2 out of 3 against the Minnesota Twins. Today is Game 9 for the Padres, and playing 18 games in 18 days, and Game 18 in a stretch of playing 27 games in 28 days. Before we break down tonight's game any further, let's take a look at how Game 2 of this 4-game series transpired last night in San Diego with the Padres Rewind.
How did the Padres fare in their last game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind. Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Last night returned Joe Musgrove, who was outstanding on the hill for San Diego, but it didn't take long for the Padres to get a lead. After Joe Musgrove shut down the order in the top half of the first inning, it was Luis Arraez getting things started for the Padres in the bottom half of the first.
3-1 to Arraez, leading off in the bottom of the first inning. Pitch is hit in the air to deep right center field. Marte is back, still going back. He's looking up. It's gonna go. Leadoff home run, Luis Arraez. His 4th home run of the season and his 2nd to begin the first inning. 1-0 San Diego.
Luis Arraez hit his 4th home run of the year to give the Padres a 1-0 lead after the first inning. In the bottom half of the second inning, didn't take long for the Padres to add to their lead. This time, Kyle Higashioka with his 15th bomb of the season.
First pitch to Higashioka, in the air, down the line, left field, and gone. Line drive, home run over the little fence in left. And another deposit into the Higgy Bank for Kyle Higashioka. 3-0 here in the second.
15 deposits into the Higgy Bank this season. Give the Padres a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the second inning. Jake Cronenworth later on made it a 4-0 game with a single that scored Mason McCoy, and the Padres were rolling early against the New York Mets. Bottom half of the third inning, it was Kyle Higashioka again, this time with an RBI double.
1-2 hit hard on a line down the left field side. That's a fair ball, going to bounce and roll all the way to the base of the wall. Merrill scores easily. Higashioka into second. He's standing up with an RBI double, and 5-0 San Diego here in the third.
Luis Arraez would add to that with a single on a line drive to center field that would score Kyle Higashioka and gave the Padres a 6-0 lead after 3 innings. Padres would then add another one in the 8th to make it a 7-0 ball game, this time with Manny Machado.
Here's the pitch. Manny, hard hit grounder up the middle and into center field, a base hit. Wade rounding third, he's going to score. RBI single Manny Machado and a 7-0 Padre lead.
All Olavino could do was just roll his eyes in the back of his head as he almost had a strikeout. The very next pitch turns into an RBI single.
Mets shut out on 2 hits. They had no errors and left 2 on base. Padres 7 runs on 16 hits, no errors. They left 10 on base. Joe Musgrove earned the win. He's now 4-4 on the year. Paul Blackburn took the loss. He is 5 and 4. It's out of the ballgame, 2 hours and 34 minutes played in front of 40,556 on a 72-degree clear evening in America's finest city. That was last night's victory for the San Diego Padres. What's tonight going to look like? Let's get a game preview with one of the voices of the San Diego Padres and Mr. Tony Gwynn Jr.
Let's go inside the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup from Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
From the loft to the Western Metal Supply Company building to the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center. Let's now talk with Tony Gwynn Jr. Tony, what's going on? How's your Saturday afternoon?
What's up, Bray? How are you doing, man? Long time.
It's been a long time. Aside from seeing you in studio every once in a while. Good to talk to you on the pregame show. And rolling with the Padres after last night. And I think the story of last night is obviously as much as the Padres put up 7 runs, Joe Musgrove in his return has been exceptional in his last couple of starts. And for everything that he has gone through, it was nice to see him put an outing together like he did last night.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible what we saw Joe do last night. I mean, that's quite frankly as good as we've ever seen him. And that includes, at least in my opinion, that includes the no-hitter that he threw in Texas. I mean, that's how good he was. I mean, he's been working on distinguishing between the curveball and the sweeper. He's just keeps getting better as he adds things to his game. And last night was really a sight to see, as that's as crisp as I can remember seeing Joe in any time.
especially when you see some of these Padres coming back from the injured list, potentially joining the team here in the near future. Nice little upgrades for them in the second half. Speaking of the dog days of summer, as we kind of wind through that and get ready for a September pennant push for a lot of teams in Major League Baseball, from your perspective of being a former player, how difficult is it to try to focus on yourself each and every game when you know you got a month left and you're peeking at the out-of-town scoreboards, knowing that none of that you can control, but you're still trying to pay attention to what everything else is going on around you, not only in the division, but in the wild card. How much of a battle is that for professionals, even though it seems like it's very easy for them?
I think it is a little bit of a battle, right? I think August is a tough month. Obviously, the season has been going for quite some time. And I think for the goal for most players, especially the ones who've been in it a little bit, is to get through August. You know, once you get to the first day of September, it's like new life because you know you're down the stretch, especially when your team is in it like the Padres are. It becomes easier to show up every day ready to go. But getting through August can be tough. And, you know, what helps is having, you know, some fun personalities on your team to kind of break up the kind of monotony that usually happens in a baseball season. And in terms of watching the scoreboard, I think everybody recognizes that, you know, a month is still a long time. Unless you have a 15, 16, 17 game lead, those leads we see every year almost, those things get chopped up and get closed out. And so I think you just focus on going day to day, and once the clock or once the calendar turns to September, you can start that sprint from that point.
And you want to be playing your best ball as you enter the postseason. You don't want to play your best ball too early. There's so many factors going in and out with a month left. It's just a difficult time of the year for everybody in Major League Baseball. That's why it's called the dog days of summer. Pitching staff of the Padres has been exceptional. We talked about last night. Michael King has had better numbers on the road than at home. Not to say his home numbers haven't been good, but he's been a nice addition to the Padres this season. How does he continue that tonight against the New York Mets?
He's been a great addition for the Padres. There were times in the year that the Padres would be in a tough spot if Michael King wasn't in this rotation. And I think it's important for everybody to remember this is his first full season as a starter. Never in his career at the big league level has he been able to accumulate this many starts. He's already blown through the amount of innings he's pitched in a season. And I just think it's fun to watch a young guy kind of put it together and figure it out on the fly. I think for tonight, you're going to see Mike try to attack the zone when he has fastball come in. To me, him and Dylan Cease are very similar. When they're commanding the fastball, everything else is better, including the changeup, including the sweeper. We've seen the home runs go down really after that first month of the season for Michael, and I would expect to kind of see some of the same things here tonight.
Should be a fun one tonight. Two teams battling for wild card positioning. Both teams trying to hang in it in the race as we got 1 month left to finish up the dog days and get ready for a pennant chase September. Tony, appreciate the time. As always, look forward to talking to you again.
Take care, Brady.
Buddy Jr. joining us on the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. I'm Braden Suprenant, filling in for Sam Levitt today and tomorrow. The Padres will finish up their series against the New York Mets. Game 3 tonight and Game 4 coming up tomorrow. Coming up next, we will talk with Mike Schultz, met with the media before today's game. Hear what he had to say about today's matchup with starting pitching and everything else. We'll go through who's hot and who's not. San Diego Padres, New York Mets edition. What's going on around Major League Baseball with Around the Horn, and a couple injury updates for the Padres and some good news with hopefully some players coming back on the horizon. All coming up next on the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. Braden Suprenant right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan of the Padres Radio Network. Yep. How you doing? Good. Yeah, last night. Thank you. We'll go back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I'm Brayton Suprenant bringing you the action here at the loft. It's very loud up here. I know that Sam has to deal with that on a usual basis, but everybody here's got the Padres fevers. The Padres are playing good baseball here in the second half, one of their best second halves that they have had in their history, trying to continue that tonight against the New York Mets for Game 3 of a 4-game series against the Metropolitans. Now, the New York Mets did win the season series already, so in terms of tiebreakers, if that goes into effect, the Mets would technically have the tiebreaker over the San Diego Padres. But still, as Tony mentioned, there's a lot of baseball left in the regular season, and that's why we're in the dog days of summer. How does Mike Shildt like the dog days of summer? Well, let's go down to the clubhouse and hear what Mike Shildt has to say about today's game, as we'll go down there right now.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
His last outing, impressive in a lot of ways. Didn't have his best stuff necessarily, but what he was able to do on a night where he didn't have his best stuff, maybe a symbol of his growth.
Yeah, man. Always want, to have your best stuff, be able to be crisp and everything. And Michael was good, but he was working through it. Him and Higgy did a nice job of navigating it. A true test of your competitiveness and your ability to understand how to pitch and navigate is when you don't have your best stuff, and he did a really nice job.
It's sort of a symbol of his growth as a starter, isn't it, in terms of how you're learning those types of situations? It's a little different than working out of the pen where you can just try to muscle through it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Scan. I mean, that's a big part of learning how to be a starter, like you said. When navigating it, knowing a big part of the starter's job is to be able to get deeper in a game and also give you a chance to win a game, and Michael's been able to do that consistently.
You mentioned it last night, Xander Bogaerts. He made some great defensive plays yesterday. Can you expand a little bit about what you've seen in terms of his growth at second base?
Yeah, man, it's been impressive. Him and Tim Leeper, our infield coach, third base coach, have really partnered well. I mean, the credit's going to go to Bogey, obviously, but he's really, first of all, accepted the responsibility and the opportunity to go and move over there, and that's a hard thing to do when you're used to playing one position for 10 years of your career in the big leagues, much less growing up doing it and going through the minor leagues. But it's been a real consistent process. I've also applauded what he did on his rehab assignment and the amount of work that he put in. all the different plays and variables that come with learning a new position. And now you're seeing a really comfortable athlete that's just going out and playing and has a better understanding of what he's doing and is enjoying it.
Speaking of middle infield, Mason McCoy's done a really nice job filling in for us on the team. What have you seen in him so far?
He's as advertised. We saw him a little bit in spring training, but he's a guy that looks to be consistent defensively. Very sure-handed, nice accurate arm, and is taking good at bats. Worked a few walks, got a good eye, and he's got a couple hits and been able to contribute offensively as well. He's done a nice job.
Ha-Sung, is there an update on how the shoulder's doing?
There's not anything that's overly new. He's making progress every day. He's yet to throw, but he took ground balls yesterday. He's moving around. Rehab's going as pretty much as expected, but we won't know anything until he's cleared to start to do some things with the bat and the arm.
Got it. Can you give us any update on how he came out of his bullpen and how he came out of batting practice yesterday?
Everything was really favorable, not only you and his stuff and how it came out. I think he felt really good about it. Ruben was really pleased. It sounds like I haven't talked to him specifically other than to say hello. But he, feels like he's recovered well, and he's going to do some up and downs tomorrow here at the stadium, and then we'll evaluate from there.
Facing live hitters, I assume?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And Fernando, what's the next step for him after taking batting practice yesterday?
More of the same. We're making a determination of what's going to be his best plan, whether he's going to go travel with us initially on the trip or he's going to stay back or go to Arizona.
How did Wandy come out of yesterday?
All reports are very favorable. I haven't seen Wandy yet, but how he's recovered today. But all the reports were very favorable about how he threw the ball, and it sounds like he felt good about it.
Is he going to need another one of those?
He'll get one more.
One more?
I'm not sure where.
Manager Mike Schilt before tonight's ball game. Padres and Mets, Game 3 of a 4-game series will be underway at 5:40 p.m. Pacific time. I'm Braden Soprenet filling in for Sam Levitt on the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. Let's get you ready for first pitch, Padres and Mets. We're going to get you a pitching matchup later on with Michael King going against David Peterson of the New York Mets. But first, let's talk a little bit deeper into who's hot with the Padres and who's not with the New York Mets.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
Let's start with who's hot, and of course that's involving San Diego Padres' Xander Bogaerts. Since coming off the injured list in 33 games since coming off the injured list, Xander Bogaerts is 45 for 129. That's a .349 average. He has a .393 on base percentage and a .393 slug. He's got an .850 OPS during that time and a .395 batting average on balls in play. 6 doubles, 1 triple, 2 home runs, 14 RBIs. Xander Bogaerts, who started the season off poorly, got a little bit better right before he ended up getting injured down in Atlanta, goes on the IL, comes back, and has been everything that the Padres have asked for and more here in the second half of the season since coming off the injured list. He has been red hot. Who is not? Brandon Nimmo. He's in year 2 of an 8-year contract with the New York Mets, signed an 8-year, $162 million contract at 31 years old. Since the start of July, in 42 games, he's 31 for 161. A 193 average for Brandon Nimmo, a 290 on base, a 342 slug. That gets you a 632 OPS, and he has a 243 batting average on balls in play. Not a lot of good numbers for a guy making over $20 million a year. 7 doubles during this stretch of his last 42 games, 1 triple, 5 home runs, and 51 punch-outs. Who's hot? Xander Bogaerts since coming off the IL. Who's not? Brandon Nimmo as of late in year 2 of his 8-year, $162 million contract. Padres and Mets aren't the only games going on in action this afternoon. We'll get you an out-of-town scoreboard in just a little bit. But first, let's take a look at Around the Horn with Major League Baseball, as we almost had a no-no in the Toronto Blue Jays game.
What's the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball? Sam Levitt takes you Around the Horn on the Padres Radio Network.
Braden Supredit filling in for Sam Levitt on the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. Let's go around the horn with Major League Baseball and take a look what's trending in our sports. Bowden Francis struck out a career-high 12 in a dominant performance for the Toronto Blue Jays, carrying a no-hitter into the ninth inning of a 3-1 victory over the Angels on Saturday. Francis, who's 7-3 now, walked 3 and hit a batter in his third consecutive win. He threw a career-high 117 pitches, 84 of those for strikes. Francis was working on a no-hitter before Taylor Ward drove a 3-2 fastball deep to center for a leadoff homer in the ninth inning. It was Ward's 17th homer of the season, just missing a no-no north of the border in Toronto. Arizona Diamondbacks moved Jordan Montgomery to the bullpen as the veteran left-hander continues to struggle in his first season with Arizona. Montgomery, one of baseball's top free agents this offseason, didn't sign with the Diamondbacks until late March, ultimately landing a one-year, $25 million deal that includes a vesting option for 2025. His agent at the time, Scott Boras, negotiated several similar short-term deals for his top free agents late in the offseason. Montgomery ultimately fired Boras shortly after he signed with Arizona, and he voiced his displeasure with how things were handled Friday before the Diamondbacks took on the Red Sox, one of the teams interested in signing him. Quote, "I had a Zoom call with the Red Sox. That's really all I know. It went good," Montgomery told the Boston Herald. "I don't know. Obviously, Boras kind of butchered it, so I'm just trying to move on from the offseason and try to forget it." Scott Boras putting one of his clients, or one of his former clients, really behind the eight ball and has now put him from the starting rotation into the bullpen. Last bit of news for you over in Pittsburgh. Barry Bonds was touched in a way he didn't expect when the Pittsburgh Pirates called to let him know he was being inducted into the club's Hall of Fame. So when the moment arrived on Saturday, Bonds leaned into it. He donned a gold jacket alongside fellow inductees Jim Leyland and Manny Sanguillen. He posed for pictures in front of the plaque that bears his name in the plaza just inside the left center field gates at PNC Park. And Major League Baseball's home run king insisted he didn't think about the other Hall of Fame, the one that is proved elusive nearly 2 decades after Bonds hit the last of his record 762 home runs, making baseball's Hall of Fame, quote, not a concern for Barry Bonds. And that's a look at the trending stories around Major League Baseball with Around the Horn. When we come back, a full update on the injury reports as we'll take a look at what's going on in the latest with Yu Darvish and Fernando Tatis Jr. Take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard, some keys to the game, and much more. Coming up on the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show with Braden Supredit on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on 97.3 The Fan, your water perfected. I'm Braden Soprenet filling in for Sam Levitt today as it's Game 3 of a 4-game series between the New York Mets and your San Diego Padres. Padres and Mets will be underway at about 5:40 p.m. Pacific time. We're getting closer and closer to first pitch as it will be Michael King for the San Diego Padres going against David Peterson of the New York Mets. We'll have a full pitching preview in just a little bit, but first, let's take a look at the injury report. We've got some updates on Yu Darvish and Fernando Tatis Jr.
Who's in, who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Let's talk about players on the 15-day injured list first, starting with Yu Darvish, a left groin strain, right elbow inflammation. He was reinstated from the restricted list yesterday, August 23rd, after a month and a half away from the team. In doing so, the club also returned him to the injured list, where he had spent parts of June and July before landing on the restricted list at the time. Darvish was rehabbing a groin strain during this. After a rehab start, he dealt with a bout of elbow inflammation as well. Darvish says those injuries have subsided and that his placement on the injured list is strictly, quote, a matter of ramping up. So hopefully we'll see Yu Darvish sometime in about mid-September and for a pennant push. Wandy Peralta, got some news on him yesterday. He pitched a simulated inning at Petco Park back on August 20th, and the Padres announced that he would begin a rehab assignment with Single A Lake Elsinore yesterday. It's unclear how lengthy that rehab stint will be. The veteran left-hander sustained the injury while delivering a pitch on July 9th. Peralta posted a 4.50 ERA across 41 outings in the first half of the season. Ha-Seong Kim is on the 15-day injured list with right shoulder inflammation. Update on him yesterday. Expected return late August or early September. He sustained the injury diving back into first base during the Padres game in Colorado last series on August 18th. After an MRI revealed inflammation in that shoulder, he landed on the IL 2 days later. The Padres are optimistic that Kim's IL stint won't last too long beyond the minimum 10 days. He took ground balls at shortstop yesterday. The big name on the injured list of the 60-day injured list, of course, is Fernando Tatis Jr. with a right femoral stress reaction. His expected return is still listed at September. At long last, the Padres have a timetable for Tatis' return, though they aren't sharing it publicly. On August 22nd, Tatis went through a series of sprints in the outfield. A day later, he took batting practice on the field with the team for the first time. Tatis has been transferred to the 60-day injured list back on August 21st, a procedural move with the Padres needing to clear a 40-man roster space. He has already spent the requisite 60 days on the injured list to be eligible once he's ready to return. So that was just a procedural move for Fernando, but it sounds like he should be back sometime in September, although the official timetable is not being released by the team. But good news for the Padres, getting a lot of pieces back here very quickly for this pennant race that they are currently in. Speaking of said pennant race, how's everybody else doing in the National League? How's everybody else doing in the National League West this afternoon and evening? Let's take a look at our out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
Take a look at some of the games that have already gone final tonight or this afternoon throughout Major League Baseball. It's almost about half of them. Down in Miami, it was the Cubs over the Marlins 14-2. They bludgeoned the Fish and have improved their record to 500. Cubs are now at 65-65. One game over 500 are the Giants now after going up to Seattle and taking a 4-3 victory in a 4-game series that's going to determine really the direction of either team coming out of this series. Giants get game 3, 4-3. Red Sox and Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks had a 4-0 lead. Red Sox rallied late, but it wasn't enough. And Arizona takes a 4-1 victory at Boston. Padres trying to keep pace with the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers in the National League West Division. Milwaukee hammers the A's today 9-5. Orioles over the Astros 3-2. Blue Jays win 3-1 over the Angels, as I mentioned earlier in the pregame show. Rockies beat the Yankees 9-2 to be the last game that has gone final today. Games that are currently in progress. Cincinnati has an 8-2 lead on Pittsburgh in the bottom half of the fifth inning. Phillies up 1-0 in Kansas City in the top half of the fifth. In the bottom of the fourth in the Twin Cities, it's the Twins 4 and the Cardinals 0. Guardians have put up a 3 spot in the bottom of the third inning. They now lead the Texas Rangers 7-1 in Cleveland. At the end of 3 on the south side of Chicago, Tigers 5 and the White Sox 3. Nationals are blanking the Braves right now 2-0 early on in the bottom half of the third. Upcoming games, Padres and Mets at 5:40, Rays and Dodgers at 6:10. And that's a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Talking about the games throughout Major League Baseball, how are the Padres going to be able to win the game going on here at Petco Park? Let's get to today's keys of the game.
How will the Padres unlock a victory in today's game? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Honor Buick GMC Hummer in National City.
3 keys to the game today for the Padres to get a victory over the New York Mets. We'll start with number 1, and this seems kind of silly, but score first. The San Diego Padres have a winning record when they score first. A lot of teams do. This is usually one that is on everybody's game notes, as I mentioned the last time I hosted the pregame show, which was last Saturday. But it's a little bit more complicated than that, just because the San Diego Padres dominate when they score first. They have an .831 winning percentage when plating the game's first run. They're 54-11, which is the best record in Major League Baseball. When the Padres don't score first, they're just 19-46. That's a .292 winning percentage. So, score first. That might be the key to success. If the Padres score a run in the bottom of the first inning, after a shutout Michael King outing in the top half of the game's over. The Padres win. Seems like that sometimes. Speaking of Michael King, have Michael King pretend he's not in San Diego. Michael King's home and away splits are a little bit different. He has pitched a lot better on the road than he has at home. It's not too crazy, though. He doesn't have bad numbers at home. King is in search of his fourth winning decision in his 12th start at Petco Park tonight, owning a 3-4 record with a 3.71 ERA, a 1.27 WHIP, and a 228 opponent's average in his home starts. Those are not poor numbers, but when he's on the road, he's been a lot more locked in. He's 7-2 with a 2.56 ERA, including winning decisions in 4 consecutive road starts from June 29th against the Red Sox through July 27th against the Orioles. The last San Diego hurler to earn a win in 4 straight road starts was Yu Darvish's 5 in a row from August 27th to September 24th, 2022. He hasn't taken a losing decision on the road since April 23rd of this season against Colorado. Across his last 9 road starts since May 4th, he's gone 6-0 with a 2.17 ERA, a 1 WHIP, and a 204 opponent's average. Michael King, pretend you're wearing the sand jersey tonight, and you'll be in good shape. That is key number 2. And I'm going to pitch like he's not pitching at Petco Park. Number 3, and Tony Gwynn alluded to this, talking about how Dylan Cease and Michael King are very similar pitchers, and that's definitely using the punch-out, and use the punch-out tonight. Rotation mate Dylan Cease and Michael King ranked 1st and 6th respectively in the National League among strikeout leaders. Dylan Cease has 193 strikeouts. Michael King has 167. They join Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola as the only other National League duo to join Cease and King in the top 10 in punch-outs. Michael King, by the way, against this starting lineup for the New York Mets, has 3 career punch-outs against J.D. Martinez, 3 against Brandon Nimmo, 2 against Alonso, and 2 against Lindor. The top 5 in the Mets order tonight is a combined 3 for 23 with 10 punch-outs. That's a 130 average against Michael King. Score first, tell Michael to pretend he's not at Petco, and have Michael King use the punch-out. And the Padres will get a victory today against the New York Mets. Got one more segment to go here on the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. We're going to get you what to watch for as well as a pitching matchup. And then it's off to the booth with Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. for Padres baseball. Michael King, David Peterson, the pitching matchup tonight. Game 3 of a 4-game series, Padres and Mets, coming to you very shortly. But before we get to that, we got one more segment here on the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. Braden Soprenet filling in for Sam Levitt on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan of the Padres Radio Network. I'm Braden Soprenet filling in for Sam Levitt this afternoon as it's Padres and Mets, Game 3 of a 4-game series. It will be David Peterson and Michael King. We'll talk about the pitching matchup in just a little bit, but first, let's take a look at what to watch for.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
It's kind of a mix between this and the pitching matchup, but the two things that I'm watching for today involve Michael King. First pitch damage. Michael King has given up a lot of damage on first pitch. Opposing hitters are 24 for 64, 375 batting average on first pitches of an at-bat that get put in play. And his 6 home runs are tied for 6th most in the majors in 0-0 counts that get put into play, and his 17 RBIs also tied for 6th most. So first pitch damage. Don't leak anything over the heart of the plate on the first pitch if you're Michael King, and that will be a big factor, I think, in this evening's ball game. The other one is Michael King's changeup. King's changeup usage rate is up in 2024 with the Padres at 25.6% compared to his time with the Yankees at 13.1%, and it has registered a 36.8% whiff rate that ranks 6th in the majors, minimum of at least 500 total changeups thrown. His 200 batting average against his changeup ranks 11th among all major league changeups, at least 500 changeups thrown. First pitch damage and how well Michael King uses his changeup tonight. Kind of it is a what to watch for, but also a little bit of a key to the game as well in this pitching matchup between David Peterson and Michael King. Let's take a deeper dive into that pitching matchup.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview. Presented by Chimney Sweeps, Inc., San Diego's trusted chimney and fireplace service company for 40 years. Call Chimney Sweeps, Inc. at 1-800-CHIMNEY or book an inspection online at chimneysweepsinc.com.
David Peterson, Michael King, making his 5th start of the 2024 season, his 79th start of his Major League Baseball career. 28-year-old left-hander out of Arcadia, California, the Oregon Duck, David Peterson. This season, Peterson 7-1 with a 3 ERA, 64 punch-outs over 78 innings pitched. In his career, he posts a 25-22 record with a 4.23 ERA and 426 strikeouts in 411 innings pitched. In his last outing on August 19th against the Baltimore Orioles, it was a 4-3 victory in which Peterson went 7 innings, allowing 3 runs, 2 of them earned while walking 1 and striking out 8. He's been red hot since the month of August began. In 4 starts in August, David Peterson is 3-0 with a 1.47 ERA, 8 walks, and 17 strikeouts over 18 and a third innings pitched. He has only had 3 appearances against the Padres in his career with 2 starts. Against the Padres, he's 0-2 with a 4.50 ERA, 5 walks, 14 strikeouts over 12 innings of work. Current Padres against David Peterson, Xander Bogaerts is still looking for his first hit. He's faced him the most. He's 0 for 11. Machado's 1 for 5. Cronenworth's 2 for 5. Solano 1 for 4. Arise 1 for 2. Luis Camposano is 2 for 2 in his career against David Peterson. Making his 25th start of the 2024 season for the San Diego Padres, 6'3", 210-pound right-hander from Rochester, New York, out of Boston College, Michael King. This season, King is 11-6 with a 3.18 ERA, 167 strikeouts over 141 and a third innings of work. In his career, he's 24-23 with a 3.31 ERA. Last time out for King was August 19th against the Twins. It was a 5-3 victory for the Padres. In the game, King went 6 innings, allowing 2 earned runs on 4 hits and 3 walks and 6 strikeouts. King's last 8 starts dating back to June 29th, he's 6-1 with a 2.08 ERA, 12 walks, 58 strikeouts, 47 and a third innings pitched. His fielding independent pitching during that stretch, a 2.16. And the Padres are 7-1 in Michael King's last 8 outings. That'll do it for me on the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. I'm Braden Sobrenit. We'll get you ready for first pitch coming up next. You've been listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. We'll send it to Tony and Jesse after this next break.
Hey guys, it's your old pal Woodsy for Valvoline.